Look, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Content is king. So if you have some content you need created, hit up iopvideo.com. Video production, podcasting, you name it, we can do it. iopvideo.com. We make things look pretty.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining us on another episode of The Voice Party. Very special guest. Guest, introduce yourself today.
Hi, I'm President-elect Joe Biden.
Oh.
And
how did you do it? Who counted your votes?
Well, here's what we did. We contacted the late Hugo Chavez.
Oh, yeah?
And we got him to give us some rigged voting machines. And then we just stole it from under them, and with the satanic pedophile powers of the Democratic Party, and now the world is ours.
Is it the same machines they use for the Scantron test that they did in high school? Because, those my grades were rigged. Like I know I didn't. I know
it's a conspiracy, bro.
Well, we went and looked at your heritage and said this guy it cannot go.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's crazy that people are still arguing what do you think happened?
I think that everything happened okay. There's been no evidence of any widespread voter fraud as far as literally every single court case has found and every recount has found and everything. So
the president said there was, and the president can't lie. That's in the Constitution, probably.
The president also said that windmills cause cancer. It might be time to start questioning him.
He said that the windmills cause cancer.
It's
hard to keep a track of what's been only 4 years, but it's hard to keep track of all the shit he said.
Inject the bleach.
Inject the bleach.
What he said was he was wondering if maybe we should explore that. He didn't say go out there and actually do it. He was like, maybe we could look into, disinfectant injections, which is still stupid. but
we should explore that.
There's been some bizarre things that man has said, and everyone just kind of goes, yeah, okay. I guess it'll be, and people ask him about it. It's like, that's not true. And they're like, well, the man just says it like it is. And it's like, yeah. I can say it like it is.
What's annoying is there's stuff that's proven, with science and stuff, and I feel like it's gonna snowball into so much more shit in the future. No, that's not what we just saw. We just saw this guy get assassinated. I think no, it's fake news. It's like his brains are all over
it's still fake news.
It's still fake news.
Let me present you with some alternative facts, okay?
Yeah. and it's I don't know. It's scary for the future. Where there's cold hard facts, but people then their ego.
Oh yeah, have you heard of the conservative Wikipedia? They're making their own Wikipedia.
They have their what's that called? Parler now too.
Yeah. Well, it's been around for a while. I think it's funny that because Parler, before all the far right extremists in this country joined it, it was mostly filled with Saudi nationalists.
Wow.
And they're just like, yeah, we'll go there. Those guys are on board with what we believe in.
Hey, it's like from one extremist group to another.
Yeah, that's
oh my god, the irony there.
So with that being said, what's your Parler account? No, I'm just kidding.
No,
I can't think of anything clever right now.
I thought 4chan was interesting.
No, 8chan.
8chan.
8chan is where the QAnon stuff is all at.
Oh.
Wait, what's the QAnon stuff?
Oh my god. Let me just tell you what the QAnon people
is that
believe.
Similar to okay.
As a fundamental, this is their core theology, if you want to call it theology. So think of every conspiracy theory that exists. The moon landing was fake.
Yeah.
Lizard people secretly running the government.
Right.
David Icke.
The Bermuda Triangle is where the real Area 51 is. All that. Well, not only is all that true, but the Democrats and the liberals planned it. There's this guy George Soros, who, as far as I know, all he ever did was he's a billionaire and he just donates a lot of money to the Democratic Party.
To Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Antifa.
Yeah, Antifa as well.
And if you would like to sponsor the Voice Party, we open it.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Open source. Anyone who wants to fund us, please.
George Soros.
So
P.O. Box.
Shout out to George Soros.
Yeah.
You know what I find funny when people like on podcasts they'll shout out someone famous. It's like a small podcast.
Yeah.
It's like, what is he gonna listen to?
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I just.
So there's this George Soros guy, and he's apparently the ringleader. All the Democratic parties, they're Satanists, 2, they're pedophiles, and 3, they want a new world order where there is no more Christianity and there's no more moral values, and they can rule the world. To what end, I don't know, but that's apparently the grand scheme of their plan. So they're the ones that control NASA and give us information like the Earth is not flat. There's the moon landing was some sort of government conspiracy. What really happened was it was shot at a sound stage, and when you watch the clip of One Small Step for Man, One Giant Leap for Mankind, it fills your brain with like anti-Christian messages and mind control and stuff like that. So what they do basically is that this QAnon belief is that everything Donald Trump has ever said is secretly like a code that's meant to tell us about what's really going on. So like, you remember when Trump was like, we're going to attack North Korea with fire and fury, and everyone was like, Jesus Christ, bro, that guy's they might just do that. So but people like went and they said, well, if you look at the fire and fury thing, like it takes 17 characters to get to there, and 17, the 17th letter of the alphabet is Q. And that's why we know that he's communicating with QAnon. He's also getting messages. This is the thing that I know that they believe.
What is he, Ralphie from Chris?
Yeah.
Story?
It's like that. Only they find it in literally everything that he says.
Wow.
There's this. The son of JFK is alive and well, and he is secretly living in the Pentagon, and he's giving messages to Donald Trump. Also, Donald Trump is the second coming. That's an important part. He's the second coming of Jesus Christ, doing the important mission, God's work. And that's how we know that the Democrats are evil, because
that's how he was able to beat COVID so quickly.
Yeah, obviously. I'm sure that's
it
a part of it.
had nothing to do with the test. The medicine they shot him up with. What were those steroids?
Yeah,
right? The
they straight up gave him steroids, and he's just like, "Man, I feel great." And it's like, I'm sure you do.
They gave him the same steroids. Like you shoot someone with that stuff who has like a broken neck or whatever. And you're like, hey, I feel like you go cartwheeling, swim in the pool. Yeah, that'll be the last swim you ever take. Lay down. You just came from surgery. Yeah, but I want to ride my bike.
A little bit of a tangent. I just thought of like, when all those baseball players, there's that huge like amount of them that were taking steroids, like Sammy Sosa. Did people like his teammates just watch him like just every pitch, just batting everything out of the park, and he's just grunting and looking angry and like steaming, and he just says bad things to women all the time, and it's like, that's an athlete right there. They didn't ask.
Are you taking something? Are you taking something, Sammy?
Yeah.
What is he doing that we're not doing? We practice the same hours.
Yeah. Nobody ever thought to ask, I guess.
He's midnighting. See, that's it's midnight practices, so no one's there.
Oh my god, it's crazy,
at
man.
home workout.
It's now what's the story? I know something happened in Texas. What's going on in Texas? They're doing a second. Lawsuit?
So the government of, I think one of the AGs or like a former AG of Texas is filing a lawsuit to be like, hey, other states that are not Texas, they should get their vote. They should get their states overturned, because it invalidates our constitutional rights. And it's like, I don't think that you have any understanding of what you
It's
just
a
said.
lot of reaching going on, huh?
And so,
It's
and
a
then
lot of reaching.
there was like something 16 states joined in and said that they want those other states that are not our states to have all of their votes thrown away because it's against the Constitution.
Wow.
And one, the Supreme Court doesn't decide cases on a local level like that. And secondly, it's like if I went into court and said, in first grade, one of my friends stole my crayons and I'd like compensation now. And it's like, okay, friend from first grade, what do you say? I didn't do it. Okay, where's your evidence? Well, I don't have that. And the judge just goes, cool. I didn't want to do this case anyways. Bye. And that's literally about the grounds that they have. But all those states, the only spooky thing to come out of that is all those states are like, you know what we should do is we should form our own union of states separate from those other states. And everyone's like, a confederacy, if you will.
Like we haven't done this before and learned from it.
Jeez,
But you know what the problem is?
Yeah, but there was no CIA back in 1864. So
True.
I don't think so, no.
Hey, but you, there were spies though.
Yeah.
But what I will say, it's like, you know, the South. It's very easy for the South to fool itself into thinking that they can do stuff on their own because they've been perpetuating this lie about the Southern valor of the Civil War. Like the way they go on about it, because I'm from a Southern state, I know. You would think they didn't lose. You would think that they did not lose. They were not in rebellion from their own country. But I'm sorry for those of you listening at home who still go to the Rough and Ready Festival and look at Civil War reenactments of the old Silver winning a few battles. You lost. You got your butt kicks. Get over it. Remove the statues. Let it go. No one celebrates losers.
That's a big failing on the American government in
Except
general.
y'all.
Because you'd think that the Department of Education would step in and be like, hey, teach them that you lost, teach them why you lost, teach them that what they were fighting for, because there's a lot of people in the South who think that the Civil War was fought over a disagreement on imports and exports and like they say states' rights and then you go states' rights to what? And they're just like, I don't know, but not slavery. And it's like, okay, well,
a lot of reaching.
all the historians will say slavery, so there's that.
See, states' rights was just the legal terminology under which they chose to hide continuing slavery. Because it is true that if the federal government says slavery is no longer allowed, that impedes on your state's individual right to impose it. And in theory, this opens the floodgates to a lot of other things. But to be completely candid, Southerners, in particular, for those of you who honestly take the states' rights side, fuck your states' rights.
There you go. Can't be clearer than that.
Human rights are more important,
definitely.
in my opinion. So, jeez. But I would like to see them, form a little new confederacy, and let's see what happens when the nuclear bombs drop. It's like, hey, do you like an irradiated lake or two? Them catfish taste real funny now, don't they?
That'd
Probably
be
the
an interesting
plutonium
step.
poisoning.
We want another civil war. Very well. Nuclear war it is.
Yeah. Dropping nukes on Alabama.
You drop a nuke in the Mississippi, they'll get real quiet down there real quick.
I think a lot of those that are, what's the word I'm looking for? Like once they'll see some kind. Wasn't there what do they call those the black militia dudes when they
The Black Panthers?
No, the ones that just happened recently. They went out in March because some like racist guys, this militia said that they were gonna come and kill black people. So then they went out and they marched and they're like, "Where y'all at?" Did you see that in the news? It was recently.
No, I didn't see
This
that.
is this black militia group.
I live in a
It was in the
hole.
South. It's in the South.
Oh, wow. Brave men for that.
Yeah.
Because the South.
I just
they're,
think it's
crazy down there.
it's a lot of these groups, man. It's a lot of online a lot of studio gangsters.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's just a lot of talk, and with the internet we have access to hear everybody's voice, unfortunately. So, what do you think's gonna happen, man, after the election, after Biden gets elected?
Sworn in, we should say, because he's been elected already.
Sworn in.
He's won the election like 16 times by now.
I know.
All the recounts.
Yeah.
It's like was that Doctor Strange when he keeps rewinding?
Oh yeah, I've come to make a bargain. I've come to make. Hey, you know what? This is
Hey, but he eventually won.
Yep. I honestly thought
on me right now.
that Donald was going to pay off, some people to ensure that certain things, because he's wealthy. But I guess love is not the only thing that you can't buy. Apparently, you also can't buy an election. Once the election's over,
that would make it an oligarchy,
Yes.
which is what Mike Bloomberg was trying to do.
Yeah.
But if you ask me what I think is going to happen, sadly, I don't think a lot.
No.
Because as much as there's people screaming Civil War II, and there's people who are saying on the other side of that, being like, Joe Biden's finally going to give us the change that we're looking for, I don't think either of those things will happen.
No.
And I think that the division that has already been set in place is just going to continue. Granted, me personally, I prefer the Democrats to the Republicans, not because I like the party, but because
It just feels more normal. No,
to me it's like the Republican Party is like the far right fascist party, and the Democrats are like the moderate conservative party.
Yeah.
And I'm not a moderate, I'm not a conservative, I'm very extreme to the left. And as far as things like that go, I think that there's too many things that are going to be compromised as far as what radical change needs to happen in this country. Such as, like, I think that it's so strange that in the middle of a pandemic,
the division's gotten worse, right?
well, it's gotten worse, but there's Joe Biden, his administration that he's trying to set up, none of them are like, hey, let's drastically get in there and reform our system of healthcare. They haven't said anything like that. They're just like, we'll just get the vaccine.
Right.
And it's like, well, I think that you can do more than that.
Yeah.
And especially if after the runoff elections in January, if you guys get the Senate, you can definitely do more than that.
Yeah.
But
I feel like they're just telling people what they want to hear right now with the pandemic going on. It's just like shut your mouth. We're going to do this for you.
yeah. And I'm sorry I got political. I was just making a joke calling myself Joe Biden. Hello, podcast. My name is Sinister Intruder. And I do horror.
It's all good.
Yeah,
this is more horrifying.
Exactly. I actually, there's a friend of mine who made this observation similar to you. He said if you look at the Democratic Party, every president that we've had that was a Democrat, slowly but surely they creep further and further to the middle and further to the right.
Yeah.
And he made this joke, and he said, the neoliberals, what he likes to call them, which I guess they are neoliberals, it's going to get to the point 20, 30 years from now where they're going to sound more like the stereotypical Republicans where, well, it's good for business, it's good for big corporations, and we're not going to march any of you into the death camps. And the only difference between the two parties will be the Republicans will be sitting there just frothing at the mouth going, you can punch minorities if you let us. We'll look the other way. You can punch niggers. You can punch the Latinas. We don't give a Sam Hill. And then it's going to be like, oh.
Like, that's too much, though.
Yeah.
Like, the Republicans will be like, we want to impose our beliefs and our oppressive regime over you. And the Democrats will be like, well, we won't do that, but if you're poor, you still have to die.
We'll use you as a shield to fight off your tyranny. Oh, man. That's scary. That's scary stuff, bro. It is scary. It is scary, especially like I hate. Okay, this is what I hate especially this year, everyone's like, "Oh, 2020 so horrible. Can we just get to 2021?"
Like, is
I think
magic
2021.
gonna
Yeah, like
change?
it has anything to do with the date. Like, I think 20,
No.
2021 is gonna be worse. Get fucking COVID 20 and some other bullshit. You know, I think the division just makes it worse. Like if anything, I thought the pandemic would kind of, you know, I don't know. I was just being hopeful, like it would kind of bring us together and like, yo, like people need help, you know. But it's gotten worse. Oh, that's just not real or whatever. I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not wearing a mask right now. I'm sorry. I didn't. It's not that I just didn't grab one when I was coming. I apologize.
It's okay.
guys.
You're sitting on the far end of the table.
Okay.
You're 6 feet away from all of
6
us.
feet away.
Yeah, besides, I got that certificate. You
Hey,
can't
he
get
has
the
a
Rona.
certificate. I forget.
I got the Rona
We're
certificate.
safe. I'm wearing. Yeah, sorry. It's just. What do you think 2021 is gonna be like? I think shit might get worse. I'm scared of like food running out. Obviously, you know. But I'm
Yeah.
scared of like getting to a point where it's like, you know, one of these countries where you got to go get in line and all you're getting is a sack of rice. Not that I think we're gonna get there anytime soon, but the whole shit of like, you know, a certain amount of people in line at a time and we're out of this, we're out of that. That got scary this year because I've never seen that before, ever. Other than holidays, but when you're running out of toys. But now it's like,
We're running out of toilet paper.
Which-
paper towels.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
that's crazy.
There's somebody sitting in their safe room with just the walls lined with rolls of toilet paper and be like, I am safe.
I'm safe, yeah.
Did you know what else?
They're gonna be the first ones to get popped when the fucking war starts.
Hey, you want to talk about resources being scarce? There's an article that came out. I can't remember the publication, but one of my colleagues, a teacher from the high school I work at, shared this. Apparently, investors are in a scramble, and they're investing money in commodities, in particular, water commodities on the stock market, because it's projected that in the next like 5 to 10 years, access to fresh water is going to drop.
That shit shouldn't be allowed.
Nope.
Because a lot of people, the fucking capitalists will always point out and go, hey, you know why it's dropping? There's just too many people. And it's like, you Machiavellian piece of shit. You do not understand that there is not only enough water for everyone, there is enough food for everyone. You guys just decided that people need to pay for it. And that's where the shortage will be.
Right.
Because it's the corporations that are hoarding resources, keeping it away from people so that people have to pay for it. And personally for me, I think that there's things that simply need to be removed from the equation of money, capitalism, and shit like that. Because it's like, for me, like, yeah, if you want a PlayStation 5, you aren't owed a PlayStation 5.
Right,
you have to go out and buy that shit.
Yeah.
You have to work for it and all that. But there's certain things that, as being human beings, we are entitled to be provided for by our government.
Right.
And by our country. And water should be one of them. Mm-hmm. And so should food. And it's not like we're running out. We're not.
The reality, from what I understand, is that there is enough food on the planet to feed everybody.
Yeah.
3 times over.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is supply chain, and that's where you get corporations coming in and saying, "Well, we're going to furnish this trade ships and boats, and we're going to." You know what I mean? Like, we're in charge of shipping the apples or whatever. And that's where you get your scarcity, as you mentioned, it's where you get your scarcity from. And what's also crazy to me is it's easy to buy seeds to grow your own food, but there's all those seeds that are rigged to where you can't replicate the process. Like, if you grew apples, you're supposed to be able to cut the seeds out of the apple and resow it. But a lot of times when you buy these seeds, they are not reproducible. The apples come out, but seeds will not work. You have to go buy more seeds.
Mm-hmm.
It's greed.
Yeah, those are GMOs that are put, because they put that shit in there so that people can't provide for themselves,
Right.
which is evil.
Yes, it's
like
sinister.
You should be shot.
Excuse the pun. It's
yeah,
sinister.
that's truly evil.
Yeah.
And like the fact that this is happening and it's happening right now around us. And I hate when a popular retort to me saying, we shouldn't have to pay for food, we shouldn't have to pay for water, we shouldn't have to pay for a place to stay, and they go, well, there's no such thing as a free lunch. And it's just like, why isn't there? Because last I looked, you know how people will say that the post office doesn't turn a profit? It's like, neither does the fucking military, bro.
Oh yeah.
Like these things are supposed to be,
unless you go and strip some other country of the resources.
Yeah, I mean
Well,
that's really what the
things
military is used for. It's like we're going to like
Yeah, no, I know.
we're going to take the oil fields now, tell the citizens not to burn them for their own best interest, but really this is to fund X corporation back that way. So for private investors, it's turning a profit. The military is, but not for the rest of us.
yeah,
Yeah, no,
they don't give a shit.
No.
But it's not like this is the only goddamn country that's like a first world country where none of us see our taxes come back to benefit us. And people complain all the time. They're just like, they're raising the taxes again. And the reason that I think we complain about that is because we don't see the immediate effects of our tax dollars at work.
Right.
Because those tax dollars go to finance some war with some country half Americans have never even heard of before, or to fund proxy wars and shit like that, or just to give a bigger paycheck to the people who profit off of those kind of things. If because people say, how are you going to pay for like Medicare for all? It's like, we could pay for it. It would not be a problem. It would just be in reallocation of where our resources are going right now. And a lot of those things Americans don't give a fuck about, and they don't see it working for them. And our fucking military has a budget larger than the next 8 countries combined. And 6 of those countries are our allies.
Freedom ain't free.
Sure.
That's what I hear often as
Yeah, no, they say that shit, and they're like, well, you got to have a strong military. And it's just like, we do.
Right.
We do. We have... The reason, one of the reasons that Vietnam was not popular was because who gave a fuck about what happened in Vietnam? That's over there. This is America. We got involved in that war largely because the public was lied to. And people are like, I don't want to go in that war. And they're like, then we're going to draft you.
We got to stop the commies.
Here's the thing.
Got to stop the commies.
When 9/11 happened, everyone was fucking signing up to join the military.
And that's what they needed in Vietnam.
That's what they needed in Vietnam,
Yeah.
if you want to look at it that way, absolutely. But that's the point. That should be.
You're giving them ideas.
They know, though.
They know.
They
I'm kidding.
That's the thing that people don't realize is like, oh, we gotta have a strong military. It's just like, trust me, if a country attacks America, there's 1.5 million people who will sign up, and they will fucking set up their Black Friday tents outside of the registry to sign up if something like that happens. It will. Because I don't know about you guys, if like suddenly terrorists started attacking San Francisco, I wouldn't just sit for it. Like,
sign me up.
Yeah, and that's the point. Is like, if our country's under attack, people are gonna fucking go at it.
I mean, if the wrong motherfucker came knocking, you know.
But you know,
it's just
What's interesting? What's interesting about like the 9/11 bombings versus like what was going on in Vietnam is you had an entire army's worth of people to go up against, right? And even then, it was difficult because jungle warfare is when they know the territory and you don't, that's hard.
That made a huge difference.
But looking at what happened with 9/11, it's like we weren't just going up against a country; we were going up against a terrorist organization. And
which made it easier to let's just fucking go in Afghanistan and Iraq.
But it made it easier for
You're going to war with an idea.
You see that it made it easier for the ulterior motives, but it made it really, really hard to actually get the perpetrators.
Right.
Because you're dealing with like a network of evil spies. It's like Cobra. You know what I mean? Because you can't you can't just go and invade one country to root out Cobra. They got bases all over the place.
Apparently so.
You know what I mean? Like, So it's
Cobra.
I mean, that's the best
No,
comparison I
it's
can
just
make.
like I think about
Going after Hydra.
all these like action movies, and they're just like, we defeated the enemy. Then there's a sequel, and it's just like, oh, you forgot about the hidden base in Antarctica. Antarctica? What the hell are they doing
That was
down there?
essentially-
Are you referring to the Nazi? The Nazi base in Antarctica. That whole thing that there's.
I was not, but now I'm very interested.
Okay. I don't know if you guys know about that. You've heard about it?
No,
That they have a base. They had a base in Antarctica. The Nazis before they, because then they.
Oh,
when
yeah,
they were
I've heard
losing,
that.
they went over there. I don't know if it's. I don't know.
I've heard that
Okay.
though. The Nazis supposedly went everywhere. I mean, but we do know they went to Brazil
Yeah.
in droves.
Right. Well, Argentina
Like,
also.
Argentina.
and what's that other country? Uruguay.
I can't remember the name of the village that Joseph Mengele supposedly moved to, but this very place has a high birth rate in twins to this day.
Oh,
And it
I know
is-
what you're talking about. Yeah,
it-
I don't
it-
know the place either, but yeah.
It's suspected that he was
You said
there.
Brazil?
Yes, in Brazil. It's suspected that he was there because they think he might have done some sort of genetic tinkering with the people there because he had studied twins. Twins were like his fetish during his internment camp days.
Well, he had to have done something because the proof is in the pudding, as
Yeah.
they say. Like everybody who's born there always has twins. It's always twins, and
He
like
put something in the water. Did he inject everybody with something?
yeah. Here's something that people people don't understand about genetics a lot of times is that it's not that hard to fuck around with.
Right.
Like Darwin wrote a whole book on how he can breed plants the way he wants to in the late 19th century. And people today, I think, when they hear like genetics, they're like, oh, that's some advanced science fiction stuff. And
Right.
it's like, nah, man, like
Just eat a lot of lemons and your kids will come out. Yeah, something. Yeah.
it's not as they say, rocket science. It's genetic science, and it's basically they just found simply these are the genetics that make someone male. This is genetics that make someone female. This is genetics that give blue eyes. This is genetics that give brown eyes. Oh, speaking of that, like they found some. When I say they, there were these archaeologists and anthropologists that worked together to trace back the lineage of people with blue eyes, and they found that it all came from one person near the Mediterranean. There was one guy
With
who
blue
had
eyes.
blue eyes.
Mickey Blue Eyes. Hey,
And,
Mickey Blue Eyes.
It's like that guy must have just had orgy after orgy or something. Like
The only guy with
because-
blue eyes? Fuck yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's
What's up,
crazy.
baby?
You think about just
Look at these pupils.
just one person who had like a mutation
Yeah.
of their eyes, and then just had a lot of sex, and it became a
Spreading
whole
that
lot of
shit.
people have blue eyes. Like it's still kind of rare, but comparatively from one person, it's at least a few million people have blue eyes, maybe 100 million, something like that. I don't know the number, but like I know people with blue eyes. I would guess that some of you do as well, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have blue
It's-
eyes, Phil?
Yeah, I got blue
Yeah,
eyes.
you got blue eyes.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Now, what's even rarer than that though is like green eyes, right? Those are.
I don't know which
I
is more rare than the other, but the point I was gonna make is like how they're fucking Nazis with their belief of like the pure white race and their blue eyes. And it's like,
Yeah.
you mean the guy who fucked a lot of people near the Mediterranean?
Wow.
No, even further than the irony of the
Just got colder
Nazi
and colder,
ideal is always struck me as kind of ironic because it's like Hitler himself wasn't blonde
No,
and blue-eyed,
No.
and I think he had like a Jewish grandmother,
he did.
and like nobody bothered to look at this man and say, I mean, you next then.
Let me check your peppers, homie. Let me check your papers. Yeah.
Well, it's I think what we've learned from how people worship fascists and fascist leaders is that they'll make any excuse that they have to.
It's
Yeah.
like the ultimate abusive relationship in that regard.
No, it is. We had 4 years of being gaslit by this man, and for someone who they say, oh, he's gonna run the country like a business, is like, have you seen the way that man runs his businesses? He's bankrupted so many things. He's lost so many business opportunities. Almost everything he's done has flopped. He's lost more lawsuits than he has won by far. And
it's stupid when I hear that whole. You got to run it like a business. No,
that's another thing too. Just the whole idea of that principle is like, have you seen the way businesses treat their employees?
Right.
That's a whole thing in itself. But
we're spending too much money on helping people. Cut it out. Like, no,
it's like if there's anything we should be spending our money on,
right,
it should be helping people.
Yeah,
exactly. Going back to our conversation about the military earlier and fighting ideas, I've always thought that it would have been a smarter idea to send intelligence operatives over there rather than send an entire invading army force because of the way the enemy was operating. It makes sense if you're going to send an army up against an army, but it doesn't really make sense to send an army against a unit of like spies.
Right.
And we saw how hard it was for our soldiers. They were like getting
suicides.
blown to bit. Yeah, all the suicide. You don't know who's an enemy and
there's
who's
a lot of suicides going on over there.
You needed a scalpel, but instead of sending a scalpel, our government sent a hammer because the goal wasn't really to take down Al Qaeda. The goal was to use Al Qaeda as a scapegoat for taking resources, and that's the worst thing.
Speaking of that whole thing, are you guys familiar with Pat Tillman's story?
No.
No?
Give it to us, bro.
Well, I was hoping you guys knew it because it was a guy from San Jose who was in the NFL, and then when 9/11 happened, he left the NFL to go join the military, and he was kind of treated like Elvis was in Vietnam, like the celebrity guy that's coming to the war,
right?
And they used him as and then I guess he started having contact with what's his name? We talked about him, Noam Chomsky.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, we're not fighting terrorism. We're protecting poppy fields. That's what he said. Mm-hmm. And once the word got out, like, I want to go back home. Like, this isn't what I signed up for. He died in combat by friendly fire. And it's there's a documentary which I think we should maybe watch. And
we should.
You could come back and we could do
a review.
But it's one of those things that it didn't get as much attention. He didn't get attention until after he died, but that's a perfect example of how anything that you hear. There's this famous line of one of my favorite musicians. The first casualty of any war is the truth.
Dang, yeah. That's deep.
I remember, going off of what are we really there for?
Right.
You consider the ambassadors that we have to other countries. Mm-hmm. The ambassador that we have to Denmark is Danish.
Yeah.
And knows their customs, knows the language, and knows how to talk to them and understands what's going on over there. And you can say that the same thing for our ambassador to Germany is German. Our ambassador to Ireland is Irish.
Right.
Our ambassador to Japan, Japanese. Our ambassadors to Middle Eastern countries such as Iran, Iraq, they're military leaders.
Wow.
So I think right there it shows the the motives.
Right.
Slap a sticker on it and call it oppression.
Yeah.
Man, that's
I didn't know that.
Are any of the military leaders of Middle Eastern descent?
I don't think so.
Oh.
Oftentimes they're recruited out of to become ambassadors. I think they come because most of the time to be an ambassador, you have to, if you're not of that heritage or of that culture, you would at least be expected to have a degree in that culture and in that history, in the language and all these things. You have to be an expert on it.
Right.
And so it's like there's so many people who have graduated from colleges with honors that have degrees in Middle Eastern culture, heritage, and the economies there, the people that are there, the customs that are there, and the history of the place. Why aren't they ambassadors?
Right.
Why hasn't the government contacted them and said, hey, maybe these folks should speak, be like the intermediary between our two countries. Why not?
Because the intentions are not to build a bridge.
Look, I was being rhetorical.
But yeah. No, I mean, and it's listen, but yeah, no, I'm with you. I just let you know.
Why do you think? Okay, this is another question for anyone. Why do you think there has been so much interest in Middle East, in particular, like that area, Iraq and
our dependence on the oil?
Well, the oil, because there's a lot of other places with oil too, and like Africa's got a shitload of resources.
Sure.
But yeah.
2 is because we're trying to appease our allies, which are Israel and Saudi Arabia,
which they all want control of the area too.
That's another. That's one thing that puts the Middle East over Africa, is that our allies are kind of like, can you get these office? Can you get these folks out? They're looking at us kind of funny, bro. Can you, you know?
Well, that's why we often don't do.
It also put pressure on Iran.
They do Iran for a couple reasons. Yeah. One is because Iran oftentimes allies themselves with Russia, which we don't like, except for Trump, who loves Russia for whatever reason.
I mean, they got him the election, so of course he loves him.
Hey, Putin keeps that country together, man.
There's going back a little bit, I'm gonna do a quick history recap, very streamlined, of our relationship with Iran.
Just so we're clear, this is all sinister as hell. I know. Sorry about this. I need to cover up better because the cold's really fucking with me.
When after World War I, shortly after that, we had an interest in expanding relations, and then America was like, nah, let's be isolated again. And the Ottoman Empire was destroyed in World War I. It was broken up into what we know as like Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Yemen, Qatar, and all these other countries around that peninsula and such. And
wasn't Turkey part of that too?
Turkey was a part of another area over there.
You're right. Never mind. I'm sorry.
But so like World War I ends, and we're already trying to like think about our influence. And World War II only increased that desire. So after the democratically elected leader of Iran was like interested in pursuing bad things with one of our allies, we ousted that guy and put in a leader that we wanted and the people didn't want.
In the 70s, right?
Yeah, that didn't happen in the 70s, but the 70s was when he basically the people rebelled of Iran.
Yeah, right.
And he was wanted for trials against crimes against humanity because he was killing his own people. Right. He was butchering them, he was torturing them, he was doing horrible things.
Cutting hands off.
The people were like, okay, let's get rid of him. And he fled to the U.S. and we were like, yeah, we'll take care of you. And that pissed off the Iranians so much they did the hostage situation. Right. And for some reason, every American thinks they started it.
Right.
They're the ones who did this terrible thing. Yeah. And how dare they? We've done nothing wrong to you. And so that happens and everything. Fast forwarding a little bit further is basically Iran starts backing basically insurgents in countries that we are getting oil from or have allies with. They aren't directly involved, but they're giving them money. And when it's discovered, hey, Iran, we know you're doing this, and they're just like, yep, we are, but what are you going to do about it? And talks about all the other countries getting involved in a war was breaking out, and then they were all like, okay, how about this? We all start making our own nuclear weapons. And America was like, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
We're going to come up with a way to stop you all from getting nuclear weapons because we don't want a Middle Eastern arms race that sounds like the worst goddamn thing in the world. So
sounds exciting though, don't you think?
this shit happens,
like
and
LA.
Iran starts getting very close to developing a nuclear weapon. And countries like
What year is this that you're talking about?
This is like during the Bush administration.
Okay, that's when they were really close, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
03, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And the UN and the United States and a few other countries just say, what would it take to get you to stop? And they came to the table and we talked about it. And during Obama's administration, they came to an agreement, which is like, hey, you can have your nuclear power, but you can't make nuclear weapons. We will not allow you to, because to make a nuclear weapon, you have to enrich uranium to a certain point. They're like, you just can't do that. That's all. And to make sure, we're going to have UN inspectors. We're going to have our own inspectors. We're going to have other countries come and inspect. And Iran was like, fine. Iran's economy started doing well because there was no more embargo. There was no more trying to limit their goods. People were buying oil from them again. And they were all good. Then Trump was like, Obama did that thing. It must be bad. Let's take it away. And
anything Obama did.
Yeah. And also... but we're still going to get oil from you. And Iran is like, fuck that. And they straight up were like, this little area of the ocean, if you Americans come in here and try to take our oil from it, we're going to fuck you up. And America was like, we'll see. And then Iran did it, and they were like, well, why is Iran so mad?
You'd be mad too, geez.
Talking about when you revolt against bullies, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
no,
we're talking about that.
No, definitely.
You know what? That's what I said. It will be interesting. I mean, I'm kidding, obviously, but if more of the world was like a perfect example of how LA is now as far as gangs, like every gang is so powerful in LA that like, okay, don't fuck around.
Right.
These guys don't fuck with the Crips or the Bloods or the SAs because either one's gonna fuck you up. They have the capability to do it. I think if there's just more powers. Not that I want everybody to have a fucking nuclear weapons, but if there's just
honestly,
more,
it's safer. In my opinion,
but it's also more possible of mistakes happening, of Chernobyl's happening, of fucking
the reason Chernobyl happened was because the Russian government was cheap as fuck.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's the only reason, that because nuclear power is safer than petroleum,
right?
And like by far, when you think of, people always say, oh, nuclear power, remember Chernobyl, remember 3 Mile Island, remember the Fukushima reactor? And it's like, okay, and pull out the scroll. Here's the list of every oil derrick to have gone down.
Get the fish with the 3 eyes hopping around a la Simpsons.
Yeah,
I know, right?
But like the reason that Chernobyl, why that happened, was because the Russian government bought cheap, shitty equipment, and they put it in their reactors. And the management there,
the old cheap Russian goof.
Yeah, because the management there, they were running a test.
Yeah.
And they were running a test with entirely new staff. And the staff were like, I don't know, you tell me to push this button, I'll push that button, sure. And then it started malfunctioning because they just weren't doing the test appropriately. But there's a button that you're supposed to push to basically be like, oh, the test isn't going well, let's push that button, everything will be fine. But because the equipment was so cheap and so shitty and not built up to code, then when they pushed that button, all the bad things that were going on with the reactor, they got worse, and instead of getting better. If the reactor was made appropriately, even with all those mistakes, even with all the tests, even with all the inept people, pushing that button should have saved them.
Okay.
But because it was built wrong.
I didn't know
this is why Homer still has a job,
exactly.
even though he's a complete maroon.
Mr. Burns knows how to run a fucking...
Because Mr. Burns knows how to build a doggone nuclear plant.
We were almost at an hour.
Expert.
We're almost at an hour, and I've enjoyed every minute of this, but it would be a shame if we had a Sinister Stories episode without anything in the dark supernatural.
Oh, okay.
From Mr.
I mean, we could always just call this the horror of politics.
Yes, but it would still feel like empty without it. We have a guy who is an expert at this, in my opinion, and something in the spooky realm,
Oh, okay, play to type. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I think we owe it to the fans to give them a scary story.
All right, we've let you be yourself Long enough. Now you gotta dance for the fans.
This is
Dance, monkey,
this
dance.
all started with me just making a Joe Biden joke.
I know, but it's great. That's the spot. Like that's the spontaneous element that we like to bring into the show, and you fucking just ran that, which is great because it got me thinking about stuff that I want to learn more about now.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Which is the case every time you come on. I heard feedback from people that had never heard about the missing 411, and they're like, "Holy shit, this is huge!"
Yeah, that shit's crazy.
Yeah. So is there something you got a story in the tank for us about maybe something local? About a local stuff, local horror, scary story. I'm sure there's a lot of those, even if it has something to do with politics.
A little bit less paranormal, but did you see that the Zodiac Killer's code had just been solved?
Oh, I saw that on the news.
Wasn't it after 50 years?
51 years.
He's probably already dead.
Code breakers finally figured it
Yeah.
out.
But what was it? What was the code? Is it?
It was very disappointing.
Is it going back to what I said earlier? It was Ralphie's
grocery list or something like.
Ralphie's
no. It was just more of the same because something that's, I don't know, for me being as morbid as I am, something I think that's cool about living in the Bay Area is you can go to every single murder scene,
right,
and you can look at it and be like, oh, this is where one of these murders happened.
Yeah.
And being so closely connected with the Bay Area and the culture here and the history here, the Zodiac Killer has a lot of influence and a lot of notoriety.
Right.
People my parents' age, they lived during the time when the Zodiac Killer was around, and people were terrified. But so like things like that, I know, and anybody who followed the David Fincher film Zodiac, they did a really good job.
That's the one with
Jake Gyllenhaal and Robert Downey Jr. And
do you think that's accurate? That was accurate.
It is pretty accurate, yeah.
Wasn't he working here in Pinole, the Zodiac Killer?
Actually, it was Rodeo.
Holy shit! Yeah.
Well,
it was Pinole.
They don't know who did it, but the person who wrote the book, Robert Graysmith, which I think I agree with him. Was that the killer was this one guy who worked in Rodeo at the refinery there, and basically he sent these messages to the cops, and they were encoded. They sent it to the Chronicle as well, and they sent it to 4 newspapers: Vallejo's newspaper,
right,
the San Francisco Chronicle, and 2 others.
Highly recommend that film.
It's a good film.
Yeah,
it's a very good film.
I think it's still on Netflix. Zodiac.
It's just Zodiac.
David Fincher has never made a bad film.
What else has he made?
Alien 3.
Oh yeah. Did we just become best friends?
We both immediately named his worst film.
And it's not even a terrible film. It's just not great.
Yeah, coming off of the first 2 from Ridley Scott and James Cameron, it's like, oh, I guess we'll just do more of the same, but not as good. All right.
But so this code, when you solved it, he said that he would give his name away in the code, but then it was decoded by a family in Vallejo, and they just were like, oh, let's try it, and they did it, and they solved it, and it was.
Please be sure to drink your Ovaltine.
Take your vitamins or else.
One of the things that it said is,
story.
I will not give you my name because I like killing people. It's fun.
Oh my God.
And another thing that it said was that when he kills people, they become his slaves in the afterlife. And when he goes to the afterlife, then he'll have the slaves of the souls of the people he killed to service him there. So the cipher that finally got solved was like, hope you're having a fun time going after me. I'm getting so many slaves. And that was it, basically.
No.
So it was like
he's in there with the
cool.
9/11 guys and all their virgins.
Now the Zodiac Killer is probably still alive even until this day. I would say.
No, if it's the guy,
I don't know.
If it's the guy they thought it was back in, that guy already died.
Yeah,
he died when they actually supposedly found out who it was. At the end of the film, they mentioned what happened, and the guy they finally thought, is this guy that?
Yeah, the number one suspect died.
He died of a heart attack when he was going to get questioned about it, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly.
I'm going based on the film, though.
They had like 3 suspects, and all of them have passed away.
Right.
There was one of them on his deathbed said he was a Zodiac killer, and they tested his DNA, and it was like a 97% match.
Wow.
Well, okay, all right.
You know
And,
what? You know what though? I thought about like, what if you on your deathbed just wanted to fuck shit up? Like, I killed Kennedy. Like, just to fuck with your family.
Oh my god!
Oh, but he was born in 1990. I don't get it.
Time travel.
Yeah. No, but
11, 22, 63. Yep.
I talked to this. I installed services at his house. He was a retired investigator at the SFPD, and he said he was starting out when Zodiac was going on, and he told me some stories that he's like, I remember it was bad. There was some stuff supposedly that the Zodiac sent out that never made it to the news, which was his threats against political leaders. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, which they never released it because they didn't want ideas going out there with the everything going on in the 60s. The 60s were nuts.
Everyone was getting assassinated.
Everyone was getting assassinated,
60s, yeah.
so they didn't want to get that story out there. And also, on top of that, you said there was a lot of guys like the Zodiac. One in particular who was very successful, and he actually he took out a lot of his family members, but it was like the same thing, just codes and messages. And so there in San Francisco, there was a lot of guys like the Zodiac afterwards. So that's why they kind of toned it down on the letters, because they didn't, copycats. Yeah.
Copycats are always a problem.
Right. And there was one that was in his experience, the one that was successful was the one that was doing everything the Zodiac did, but only to kill his family members. It was kind of like a Michael Myers type of.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he got a lot of his family members, and he sent out letters like riddles of who was next. And it was like, oh, it's his third cousin. Oh, it's his aunt. And but eventually they caught him.
Talk about Captain Obvious. Like, someone's gonna find that pattern. Like,
Yeah, but he
all
was
these people are
successful.
Related.
So I mean,
he got caught.
Yeah.
The Zodiac killer, the real Zodiac killer, is successful because he didn't get caught.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. So have you been to the site in Vallejo?
Oh, I've been to all of them.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to make sure,
drop a selfie. Hey.
There's actually 2 in Vallejo. One of them I haven't been to, because one of them was like in a house,
right?
And I haven't been in that house. But there's the parking lot over by the Blue Rock Springs golf course. That's where one of them was. Yeah. There's the one in Napa on Lake Berryessa.
Yep. Berryessa,
there's
which is all burnt
San
right
Francisco on the one street, and he killed the taxi driver.
Yeah.
And
Jeez.
honestly, as far as the Zodiac murders go, those are probably the only ones that he did, because he took credit for a lot of other killings
that he didn't do,
that he almost certainly did not do.
Right.
Have you ever thought to go by the house and just knock on the door and be like, "This is an odd request, but can I come in?"
Yeah. I'm a grandson of the.
They closed down that hotel. And,
you should do what he said, but say you're the grandson of the Zodiac killer.
Yeah. I just want to revisit the crime.
I think he left something here.
But they closed down that hotel in Benicia recently.
Oh, I
and
didn't
that was a little bit off topic, but you mentioned Vallejo and going to a place where you're not wanted. But they in Benicia, there's a hotel that one of the rooms was supposedly haunted, and they closed it down. And I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to stay in that room yet. And that was such a bummer, because I've had that place on my list for like places that I want to go for so long, and it's just right over there, you know? And it's closed now.
It's super close when you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that the Golden State Killer just got I think he was found guilty, but I think they're still going to sentence him.
Right.
He lived in Benicia. And I have a cousin who like texted us. It's just like, my God, he lived down the street.
Jesus.
So too close for comfort.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right, man. So before we go, well, first of all, we appreciate you coming on such short notice, dude. As you can see, it's freezing in this new studio setup we got. Where can people follow you on social media? I know you do live gaming now also, right? How long have you been doing that for?
I started in, I want to say July. But that is also going very well.
Yeah, I see. You're on quite a bit now right now, right?
Yeah, I'm streaming today at 4 p.m., which is I was like, okay, when?
This probably won't air till like February.
No.
But yeah.
You can find me, my music, Sinister Intruder on Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, Apple Music, all that stuff.
Some videos produced by or directed by.
Yeah, with Phil and Joaquin oftentimes.
IOP video, come to us for your music video.
Yep, I have more music videos for whenever pandemic's over. I'm just going to be like, all right, guys, it's time.
Yes.
There's also, you can look at my my writing, joepangellinohorror.com. You can look at some of
you have 2 books,
my writing.
Right?
I have 2 books that you can get links there for. Mm-hmm. And you can also follow me playing horror video games. That's all I do on twitch.tv/Joe the Horror Guy.
What games in particular?
Well, anything from Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Outlast, Amnesia, anything that's a horror game, we play it on there.
Sad Satan. I'm just kidding.
We will not play Sad Satan because it's not real.
I know. I'm kidding. I fell for that. The whole little...
It happens.
I thought it was real. I mean, I heard about it. It's not, I don't play games. But and then your Instagram,
I think is
at Sinister Intruder.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll tag you when we post this. Again, man, thank you for coming, bro.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. It's always been great.
Me.
It's always been great talking to you. You're now this is like your 3rd time on the podcast.
Yeah.
So it's safe to say you're one of the usuals on the
apparently
on the podcast.
so.
Yeah,
I'm honored.
It's you and Evan right now.
Yeah, they have the most.
Semi
video podcast.
But this is
new again.
This is all
new.
New. It's all new. So, anyways, you guys got anything for any shout outs or anything before we go?
It's just thank you, Sinister Intruder, for giving us your time today. Next time, I was telling the guys here, I was like, you are a tabletop gaming enthusiast, and so am I.
Yeah.
Got to get you in here to talk about that one good time.
That should be fun.
I actually want to do a film review with you, so we'll plan that out next time.
We'll do a film review of The Lawnmower Man.
I love that movie.
Isn't it a great movie?
Pierce Brosnan, the first
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
There's 2. You don't have to watch the second one. In fact, it's probably better that you don't.
It's my
headcanon
that the people who made James Bond watched Lawnmower Man and went, get him to be James Bond.
Pierce Brosnan is a genius, and he's like, hey, there's this retard that cuts my grass. Let me try and make him a genius and see what happens.
Oh, wow.
And then he ascends into godhood.
It's based on a Stephen King story.
And the Stephen King story has nothing to do with that movie.
Yep.
No, this is Lawnmower Man in name only.
Yep. They clearly just wanted that sweet title. And they were like, what do we have to do to get that sweet title? And they wanted the Stephen King marquee because, his name does draw money.
Right.
You know what I love about that movie is I'm still not sure what happened in it. Like, there's the part where the guy at the gas station, he picks on Lawnmower Man, and then Lawnmower Man ascends into godhood, of course, and he shows up with his lawnmower for some reason at the gas station, and he uses his mind to wrap him up in like the pumps, the hoses. And then I'm not sure what happens after that, but
I watched the first one and then immediately watched the second one, and my brain is like,
no, that'll kill you.
Yeah, I was like, well, how is it 50 years in the future and everybody's the same age? What the hell is going on?
Doing that will melt your brain. It'll disintegrate you.
All right, well, I look forward to that. I think I might do both in one sitting.
Oh shit! So that means I'm gonna have to watch the second one again. God damn it!
All right, guys.
Let's do it.
Well, that's been the Voice Party. Thank you guys for listening. We're out.
All right.
God damn, it's fucking cold, man. I gotta go put warmer